What is going on, everyone? Elliot here, fresh out of the theater in the garage of my local Alamo Draft House. I have just completed the task of finishing the film they call Madam Web. Listen, before we get into my pros, which there are not a lot of them, and we have a lot of criticisms, let me know if you all are in the comments. And this is meant to be an open discussion. Number one, were you excited for this film? And number two, if you took the chance to see it, what did you think? If you loved it, I'm glad for you. Let me know your pros. But if you didn't love it, go ahead and share your criticisms. Let's just get this thing started, y'all. Listen, first and foremost, when it comes to this character, I'm not the biggest, expert in the Madam Web lore. Like, I watched Spider-Man when I was growing up as a kid and saw her character within the animated series. I've seen her popping up in video games and things of that nature, but I'm not an expert, so I was going into this pretty fresh. And coming out, I don't know if I ever want to see a Madam Web ever again. Listen, we're going to start off with the pros, and I will say there's an idea here. There is something here that has a remnants of some interesting concept. Like, there are elements and shades of, like, okay, let's take some of the Terminator lore of, not necessarily time travel, but the idea of, like, stopping things to stop other terrible things from happening, from homages, being a horror fan that I am, of, like, moments of, like, Final Destination. Like, there's literally a moment in this movie that has someone driving a car behind, a truck with logs behind it. So I'm like, there's your, and also the visions and seeing terrible things happen. So there's an idea like, okay, let's take Terminator and Final Destination and put it into a Spider-Man comic booky type of approach. There's moments that this film has some interesting things to do within the tapestry of the comic book hero. Now, this film does a lot of tropes. There's things that we've seen before, but there are moments I'm like, if they would have executed that better, if they would have, had more thought into this, that would have been cool. So ideas in some moments were interesting. There are very talented people in this movie. Dakota Johnson, I know a lot of people, when they think of her, they think of 50 Shades of Grey and that franchise, which, whatever. But I think of her performance in Peter Butter Falcon, her performance in Suspiria, her performance in, Cha Cha Real Smooth. Like, she is a talented actress. And there are shades, there's moments of charisma, there's moments of charm, there's some comedic moments that she's able to deliver. So there's a little bit of Dakota Johnson. The three women that she's trying to protect, all great, talented individuals, up-and-coming stars. Their chemistry as teenagers sometimes has moments where I'm like, hey, listen, no matter what I think about this film, we've all been teenagers. You might be a teenager watching this. There's moments where, like, yeah, teenagers do that, and there is some realism and authenticity of how they're approaching the situation. So I'm like, their charm and charisma and their chemistry is somewhat working at points, so that's good on them. There isn't a lot of action in this film, but when we do see the action, there are moments of, like, creativity in regards to Madam Web isn't someone that's going to beat you with her physicality of the character, but she's going to beat you with her mind and how the film uses how she can see into the future and other powers that she gets in this film and that I assume she has from the comics. It's interesting how she's able to use that. So, and Adam Scott, listen, I'm an Adam Scott fan, and listen, he's unscathed in this movie. Like, he brings the Adam Scott charm that we're used to seeing. So there's moments, man, that I got to say that there was an idea. They threw stuff at the wall, and pun intended, they wanted to see it would stick. And the things that stuck, whether there's maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them that I enjoyed, good for that. Listen, getting to my criticisms, man, this is, I said this in my out of theater reaction. It baffles me that this is coming from the same studio that brought us the masterpieces in Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, the wonderful films that were produced in the early to mid 2000s with Tobey Maguire. And I'm not a hater of the Andrew Garfield stuff. So they have shown that they have a track record of making not just good, but great comic book movies. I don't know who told these producers, and I know there's people that like Venom. I'm not one of them. I'm talking Venom 1, Venom 2, Morbius. All those films to me are literally trash, in my personal, humble opinion. If you like them, I'm glad for you, but I think that they're terrible movies. Somehow Madam Web made those look like the Dark Knights of the world, the Winter Soldiers of the world, the Logans of the world. Like, those, I would rather watch Venom 1 and 2 and Morbius back to back to back before I would ever watch this film again. This movie cohesively speaking, there is no cohesion. Like, the movie tries to have something to say, and I guess I'll throw this back on my positives. There's something to be said about the idea of these four women who have not good but bad relationships or experiences with their parents, their moms in particular, and how they can kind of have that experience of like shared trauma, if you want to call it that. So there's that. I'll throw that in a positive bin. So, but everything outside of that, from a story standpoint, how we get from A to B to C to D is just really, really bad. Some awful dialogue. And I don't want to point out Sydney Sweeney because she's having a great, last few years. The first time I was exposed to her was in Euphoria. I think she's great in that. And she's been great in everything else I've seen her in for the most part. She was miscast. Like, seeing her play kind of shy girl just didn't work for me. But she's not the worst in this film. I can't think of the actor's name now. I'm going to put him on the screen, and I don't mean to call him out, but I just got to call the spade a spade. This might be one of the worst villains I've ever seen on the screen in regards to the comic book realm. I don't want to speak hyperbole, but I just can't think of anyone as terrible as Ezekiel. Like, he has all the attributes of a Spider-Man abilities except for his spidey sense and the power skills or lack of powers in his character is laughable. Speaking of laughable, the performance by that actor, again, he might be great in everything else he's ever been in. This is one of the worst performances I've seen from an actor in a long time, and I don't want to put all the blame on him because it's all to the writing, the terrible directing. But there's a scene, y'all, very, very early on in this movie where we're in 2003, and I guess, going back to my positives, I like how, they play into the time era, the music that was played, the way that people would talk, the lack of technology plays into the narrative. But there's a scene early on where he's capturing this new technology and he's doing the superhero, this is my plan, this is why I need to stop them, which is so stupid why he's doing what he's doing in this film. But for my moviegoers that pay attention to editing and sound design and ADR, this has one of the worst ADR scenes I've ever seen from an actor who clearly they had him come in to dub his lines for whatever reason. And it was unsynced and it was just laughable. And that character, Ezekiel, was laughable. This film is laughable. I'll give it this. Going back to my post, I'm going to find more positives. I laughed 3 times uncontrollably. That wasn't meant to be funny. There's the line of the ADR, but I don't want to spoil this. And if you've seen some of the rumors, I'll just say that. There's a line that we've come to know and love and appreciate from the Spider-Man lore. I'll just leave it at that. And the spin that the film takes to that line, I couldn't help but to laugh out loud. It was just that funny. And speaking of just that funny, see the red I'm wearing right now? If you go take a chance to see this film, you'll know the scene I'm talking about. But let's just say a character in red in a chair with glasses. And that whole scene was just the antithesis of what this film is. And it is just bad. I don't want to rant anymore. I don't want to spend more time in this movie. And speaking of time and spending, Sony, stop. Just stop it, please. I know that there's fans out there for these films. I'm not one of them. And if the box office receipts have told you, there's not a lot of those people out there. So just stop it while you're ahead of yourself. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing as far as just the Morbiuses of the world, the Venoms of the world. I know there's fans out there. I don't mean to insult you, but they're not good movies. And Madam Web is not a good movie. If you are just purely curious to see something bad and what a bad film looks like, go check it out. Hope you have a good time. Hope you have a good laugh, because I certainly did. Stop it, Sony. Please stop it. Just continue to do your thing you're doing with the MCU. And if you think you got a good idea involving a Spider-Man-less character, just stop it. I'm going to end this review here, guys. I'm going to give this film a 1.5 out of 5. And I'm giving it the 1.5 out of 5 because there are, like I said, there's sprinkles and hints of a good idea. There's sprinkles and hints of some good remnants, some performances every now and then, like literally every 40 minutes. 1.5 out of 5 for Madam Web. Don't see it. Don't see it. Don't waste your money. If someone pays for you to go see it, then kudos to them. But don't spend your money on this film. Hope you guys had a good time. I enjoyed my food, by the way, at Alamo Draft House. I had some cauliflower wings that was pretty fire. So if it wasn't for me seeing this film, I wouldn't have had that. So this is another positive. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, comment. Consider subscribing. And hopefully next time you all see me talking about a movie, which the next time I'll see a movie, we'll be doing part 2. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in a much different mood and have a lot more to say. But you all be safe, be awesome, and I'll catch you all on the next video.